Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Today we're counting down the 10 best ways to improve this game that we all both love and hate, Call of Dragons. So let's get to it, starting with number 10. Hey, at number 10, I'm going to start with something pretty easy. Give us a way to reforge, rekindle these heroes. In other words, get back all the resources, the gold heads, the gold stars, the experience books, I guess, that we put into these heroes, right? At this point in the game, I barely play archers. I send them into behemoths, and even in behemoth, I'm sending Magzaean. Otherwise, my archers come out only a couple times a season, and then I have Sybil here, fully awakened 6 stars. All those resources are just basically wasted. If you click on the book here and you scroll down, you can see what you put into this. Okay, now the Sybil heads, they're only good for Sybil, I got that. But I put 420 generic gold heads into Sybil. What a waste. Look at all these gold stars I put in. All those are basically wasted too. And hey, look, I awakened Sybil at a time when there was an error in her tooltip that made it seem like her awaken skill did something that it didn't do. Now, I'm not saying you got to make this easy or, that you should be able to reforge these heroes on a whim. You want to make this investment meaningful, but at the same time, this is a game you want people to have fun, and if they've invested all these materials into something they're not playing anymore, that's why they're going to stop playing the game. Okay, so maybe you make the ability to reforge a hero something like once a season. Shouldn't be completely out of reach, shouldn't be another pay-to-win thing, but I'm okay with it being a very rare, maybe once every 3 months type of event. But there's got to be a way for players to recoup their investment if you want them to continue to enjoy this game. All right, number 9 on my list, let's improve the war pet experience. Look, war pets are obviously a very important part of the game, but honestly, they're getting a little tedious right now. We can refresh them and make them a lot more fun. How do we do that? Okay, the first way is easy. Catching a war pet can be pretty tedious when you're, chasing across Narnia to find the latest Mosrock Auroch, especially when you're hunting a pet that's in high demand. There's an easy way to fix this. We already have the mechanic in the game. It's called Pet Party. And when Pet Party comes out, it does two things. It gives you a few additional warrants, but more importantly, you can summon a max level pet right next to your city that you can catch instantly. I'm not saying we should have the extra warrants all the time. In fact, I don't think we should have the extra warrants all the time. But there's no reason we can't have the Pet Party mechanic of summoning the war pet right next to our city all the time, just to save us the tediousness of trying to hunt these pets down. Let's put that in the game. Too easy. We solved the problem of tedious catching war pets. Okay, but that's not the only issue. A couple other ways we can improve war pets. The first is the pet shop and the generic skills. All right, war pets came out at the end of season 1 plus for me, and I'm about to enter season 13. And the pet shop literally unchanged in that entire time, with one exception, and that's obviously as new pets have been added to the game, they've added new skills. Otherwise, we've gotten 0 new skills this entire time. Let's add some new generic skills, give us more variety, and what you're looking for is generic skills that are competitive, that you would choose on a good pet that are competitive with the skills we have right now. For example, virtually every physical damage pet wants the pet crit damage package. Fatal Bite, Blood Roar, Angry Roar, etc. Let's get some skills in there that makes us question that at least. Another skill type of package that would be competitive in certain circumstances. That's ideal game design when you have diversity, when you have real choices, and so we're not all the same cookie cutter, exact identical build out there on the battlefield. Let's get some variety in here. And while we're at it, let's change up the Amber Store. Now, hey, I got it that you want everything called advanced to be in the Amber Store. Let's not get stuck on stupid. The Amber Store used to have different generic skills in there. For example, Fatal Bite used to be in there. You used to get Outburst of Rage, a couple other generic skills, and then they changed it, and it's been changed for, 7 or 8 seasons now. Everyone knows you got the Advanced Fierce Attack, Advanced Counter-Strike, Advanced Follow-Up, etc. Let's change those up. In fact, let's rotate them every couple of seasons what the generic Amber skills are in the store here. I know a lot of people would love to get a 3-star Fatal Bite, would be willing to pay Amber for it. That's a great incentive to not only get more Amber, but if you're a free-to-play low spender, get invested in war pets. Let's change up the Amber store every couple of seasons, rotate through these powerful skills, People will love that. Coming in at number 8, it's time to rework some of these events. Now, the thing is, the game's been out for more than 2 years now. We're in our 13th season. And for the most part, all these PvE events, they're the exact same thing as they were in Season 1. All right, there's no better example here than Breaking Through, which was in the game from the beginning, and it's basically the exact same event it is now. You know, you get 3 gold heads from this, so everyone in the Alliance wants to do it. And if you do well in the rankings, you can get a few more, so there's some pressure to do well here. But this is really nothing other than a tedious chore at this point. And it occurs every 2 weeks, and when it comes out, everyone audibly groans, all right? There's lots of examples like this that have been in the game a long time and basically haven't changed. The one exception, I think, is the Crucible of Courage really has undergone some changes that have been mostly positive, including recently they made it so you can skip the first 30 levels of Crucible of Courage. Everyone loved that change, but it might be a warning sign when the ability to skip playing your game gets such positive feedback. But things like Trials of Light, no one enjoys doing these. They just do them for the quick gold heads. They're worth it for the rewards, but they're not worth it for the gameplay themselves. Okay, so how do you fix this? You do 3 things. First, new events, right? Let's get some new innovation here. Let's reintroduce some PvE enjoyable experiences in the game. Right now, the game is solely relying on the PvP aspect. The PvP is great, but some fun PvE things to do, particularly when you're in Home Kingdom, could really revitalize the game. Second, give us variety to the events we already have. For example, I'll just take Breaking Through here. You know, obviously Breaking Through every time you escort the caravan. But maybe every once in a while, instead of escorting a caravan, you have to essentially like circle the wagons and defend the fort against endless hordes of Darklings coming at you. It would give you a little variety and just make the event more enjoyable. And third, make these events less frequent. Now, I'm not saying have less events overall, but instead of giving us Breaking Through every 2 weeks, maybe give it to us once a season. It'd be a lot less tedious and a lot more fun if it occurred like that, instead of our weekly 2 weeks, okay, let's get everyone through to do Breaking Through because we gotta do it kind of event. All right, with more events, you can have these existing events occur less often, and they'll feel more fresh, they'll feel less tedious, and people will enjoy the game more. Coming in at number 7, give us better stakes, give us better incentives for winning. A great example of this is the Battle Abyss, all right? This comes out twice a week. Basically, this is glorified merit trading, all right? You got a red team and a blue team, and you go forward and you fight for 15 minutes, and then at the end it declares a winner, but there's no significance to winning, all right? Really, you're just trying to get as many merits as possible, and you take real, sev wounds here, so you want to avoid getting killed as much as you can. But otherwise, there's no point to winning the contest, so why should I try and win the contest? I'm just going to go in there and merit farm for 15 minutes, take as little damage as I can, but I don't care about achieving any objective whatsoever, right? Easy way to fix this, give the winning team a 20% merit bonus or something like that. Simple, easy, and it gives people an incentive to try hard, to cooperate together, to try and do the right thing instead of just throwing their troops away endlessly. Another great example of this is the statue fights. Now, we've had the statue fights for a bunch of seasons now, and they give pretty good rewards individually, so people want to do them. But winning the statue fight is pretty trivial. The only thing you get for winning the statue fight is a stamina recovery bonus. Okay, when the contested zone is open, a 3% stamina recovery bonus. I mean, I guess it's literally better than nothing, but it's not that significant. There's no real incentive to win the statue fights. All right, if you made these things give a real buff, there'd be better fights. There'd be an alliance push to take and win the statue fight because it'd have consequences to the zones that followed on. However, let's pretend these statues did give a meaningful buff. Let's say they give plus 5% attack or plus 5% hit points or whatever. That would make a real difference in the fights in the actual PvP zones. And so alliances would have a better incentive to fight over these statues to win the fight. Right now we go in, we throw our troops away just to make the 24k points or whatever for our seasonal quests. But if you made these statues meaningful, there'd be a lot better fights here and they'd be a lot more impactful. And of course, there's the fight for the dragon itself. Now look, the dragon, it does have significance, winning the dragon means a couple ambers, it means a better artifact compendium, etc. But we could do even better with this. Hey, let's say you wanted to do hero rekindling, but you didn't want to make it too common. You wanted to make it really an objective. Maybe the team that holds the dragon at season summary gets to rekindle one hero. Something like that. Let's raise the stakes on all of these contests. The fights will be more meaningful, alliances will be more committed, and the gameplay will just be more fun. Coming in at number 6, let's give Behemoths a massive buff. Okay, when the game first came out, they really emphasized in the marketing, hey, fight with these giant bears, these giant monsters on your side, win wars with your alliance with these creatures. And are they in the game? Obviously they are, but they're just not very impactful. Most of the time you grab these things for the buffs and the end of season rewards, and fighting with them in a war is almost an afterthought. Let's be honest, what happens most of the time when a behemoth gets summoned? Usually the war leader's telling you to ignore it, unless there's no other targets in range, then you might as well hit it. Alright? Or if you're on offense, what happens? Often you're just like, okay, everyone fall back outside the behemoth's range, we're going to wait for it to go away on its own. Man, that sucks. These things should be cool, they should be awesome. It should be a massive event when these things appear on the battlefield. Okay, so how do you do that? First of all, these things should do a ton more damage. Taking these things down should be a priority, not an afterthought. All right, second, give them a bit more range. I'm not saying let them run rampant all over the field. Maybe the tower you can summon them on, they can go on that tower or any tower touching it. Something like that. So it's just not so easy to run away from them. All right. Now the thing is, you don't want these things to be an I win button. I got that. So how do you solve that? You make their cooldowns much, much longer, all right? Right now, the cooldown's 8 hours. These things shouldn't be a fire and forget option. These things should be a massive tide-swinging event. So maybe you make the cooldown something like 3 days. So when they appear on the battlefield, everyone goes, oh snap, this is very significant. And your war leader's screaming at you, everyone focus the behemoth. We have to take this thing down instantly, right? Because if it doesn't, it's going to wreck you because we buffed the power so much. And here's the last thing we need to do with the behemoths that would make this game so great.
Let them fight.
Behemoth on behemoth combat. How awesome would that be? It'd be like watching the Godzilla movie from my childhood. I would love that. My dire bears charging at the enemy's Hydra. You could even give behemoths certain advantages and disadvantages against other behemoths. Behemoths are like the unique feature of this game, and they're almost an afterthought when it comes to actual fighting. Let's make them awesome. What's not to love? And hey, that's all I got for you this week. Next week, I'll be bringing you 5 through 1 on my suggestions on how to make Call of Dragons better. And until next time, you stay classy, Belron.